Fantasy Football Show.
Hello everybody and welcome to Planet FPL, the show which revolves the world, where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League, the show that revolves around Premier League. My name's Serge.
Why did you say it twice?
I don't know, I said the show, but you do the intro. It's your show now. You
Hello.
do the intro, you practice.
When did I buy the rights? Good morning.
I've got 5, 8, 10 shows left, I'm done.
Why, where are you going?
Championship, mate. You think I'm going to record this shit when I'm in the Championship? You think I'm going to play? I'm not even going to play FPL when I'm in the Championship, mate.
Hello, good morning or good afternoon or good evening, everybody. Welcome to Planet EFL, the world where everything revolves around West Ham in the Championship. My name's James, and your name's Suj.
It is. My name's Serge.
We are pre-recording on Thursday for release on Friday, which means when this goes out, you will know the score of Wolves and Liverpool. We do not.
No.
We wanted to have a Liverpool-free pod. My personal circumstance makes recording on Fridays now incredibly difficult. And so we've decided to do this now and review the first 9 games of the week.
I've got 5 players tonight, plus the triple captain, so that makes it the equivalent of 7 players tonight. So I'm on 19 points, but it feels like it's a completely irrelevant number based on what's about to happen with Wolves and what have you.
All I want to say on Wolves and Liverpool, and there's no point getting into the detail when we don't know what's happened, unless there's been an injury to your triple captain or your captain, like seriously, wherever you're at right now, don't worry about it. If you've got Salah and he's gone mental, it doesn't mean that it won't flip against West Ham on Wednesday. And if it's gone the other way and you guys blank so far, there's every chance they'll tear it up against West Ham. It's halfway.
Pre double game week, it's that second fixture that was always the tastier of the two anyway. I mean, there's so many pundits and people like yourself who think that Wolves may get something out of the game today and may even win the game today. So it is that second game that is...
Let's stop, because Liverpool might have won 6-0.
They might have, yeah.
Which would be mad, but...
yeah, I mean... It wouldn't surprise me. The thing is now, if they beat West Ham by more than 4 goals...
You're in the bottom 3.
We're in the bottom 3 next week. So it's interesting, and that is not inconceivable. I'd love to see what the odds are on a 4-0. It's probably like 12-1.
Does that mean you'll take like a 3-0 now?
20-1? Nah, I wouldn't say anything. I think we've got to just be positive. But yeah. So this week is interesting for a number of reasons. Based on, I suppose Twitter's not really the place to go to get the general vibe of what's going on in the world, but a lot of unhappy FPL players to start with that I've seen, despite what we talked about happening in the future. We talked on Tottenham earlier in the week and post weekend about how I hadn't seen anything to do with any protests. Not only that, I hadn't seen that much negativity coming out of West Ham fans. The last 24 hours I've seen shitloads, predominantly on Twitter and what have you. And then Manchester United, from 4 weeks ago when they beat you and beat Man City to being a team that were going places, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is getting a barrage of abuse at the moment. And anybody and everybody in the bottom 3 and around the relegation zone thinks, apart from West Ham, that they've got a chance of getting out of it now after this week. It's been eventful 3 or 4 days from the weekend's fixtures. And all the other stuff that I've seen, yesterday, the number of people saying Vardy to Aubameyang. Like, it's another week and a half until the next game week deadline. Hold your fire. Don't be bombing out Jamie Vardy just yet. Okay, it looked like a hamstring, but there's no need.
Glute injury.
Was it?
Bum, I believe.
Oh, fair play. Mm-hmm. There's no point. You can't bomb him out now. Just like hold fire for a few days.
Well, no.
Figure
Say
out what's
on
going on, yo.
These injuries. I mean, so England at the moment. Good job the tournament's not starting tomorrow. Kane, Rashford, Vardy, and
Vardy's retired anyway from international
football.
So,
but I mean, Abraham possibly as well. We don't.
Yeah.
At the time of recording, we don't know the extent of that injury. Picked up very late in the Arsenal game.
Worry
Which
about
looked
Antonio
bad.
will play up front and he'll do a perfectly good job.
England are going to win the Euros with Mikel Antonio up front.
I'd enjoy it I'll tell you that. But yeah, so it just feels like there's a lot of negativity around at the moment.
Well, what's worth mentioning on the FPL front is obviously game week average at time of recording pre-Wolves Liverpool 25 points, which is the total I'm on, although there's a -4 on mine as well.
I think the difference between you and me is basically Diego Rico.
It does highlight the importance of Liverpool assets, because if they go mad over the 2 games, people are going to be hitting hundreds still. So that's all that really mattered this week, wasn't it? Was the performance of the Liverpool guys and having the right ones. And we're not going to know for another 7 days where that's at, really.
No.
Who did do well for you this week? Anyone in FPL?
McCarthy.
Yeah, we both got McCarthy.
And Kevin De Bruyne so far.
Kevin De Bruyne, yeah.
That's the only returns I've had so far. But then I've only had... I've had 6 players play.
I got a total of 3 points from my 3 forwards.
Okay.
Ings, Greenwood, Vardy. Danny Ings was a late change out of my team, having got broken team news. We've got a Twitter question on that, so I think we'll cover that a little bit later. I mean, I swapped Ings out for Martin Kelly, so it didn't make no difference anyway. Should we do games?
Yeah, where should we start? We'll start on Tuesday, obviously, because the bulk of the games were on Tuesday. Although both of our teams played yesterday, so I didn't watch the Tuesday games. I watched the yesterday football.
Don't worry, mate. I'm on the case.
Where should we start? Top of the tree. Aston Villa 2, Watford 1.
What a big win. I mean, what's important to probably highlight ahead of the games is there's now a split between the bottom 6 and 14.
Yeah, so there's anyone, I think it's gap. Brighton, right, who are 25. Who's below them on 25? Villa, right? And then the 23s is West Ham, Bournemouth, Watford, and then 17 points you've got Norwich. So I think you can say clearly now Brighton and below is the relegation battle. Everton, Newcastle, etc., Burnley, who've all jumped up to 30 points. I mean, they're 7 points ahead of us. That feels like a massive margin to make up right now. Based on the way we're playing, massive margin.
It would need a disastrous run, really, for a Newcastle, Burnley or Palace to get sucked back into that, I think.
Yeah.
We do think, as we've said several times, that the points total will be higher. I saw a tweet that you sent out just before we recorded this morning, saying that you've looked at West Ham's fixtures and think you'll only finish on 35 points.
I think so.
I suggest if that's what you finish on, you'll be going down, mate.
There are 8 games. This is my logic, right? I went through the fixtures. There are 8 games that we could potentially get something out of. So I've ruled out Arsenal, Tottenham, Man United, Liverpool, City that we're playing.
No, it's 15 games you can get points from, mate.
I've ruled them out. We ain't coming close to any of these guys. We're not coming close because we can't do the basics of keeping a football.
So you've still got to go to, if I'm right in saying this, Old Trafford, Emirates, and White Hart Lane.
Correct.
Right, you historically
and
can pick up points.
We've got to go to Anfield.
Forget that one.
And we've got to go to City.
Forget that one.
Yeah, so I'm saying I'm forgetting all of these. They're not. We're not good enough to win these games. There's 8 games that we could get something out of. I've literally done basic fag packet maths. 8 times 1.5 points. Like that would even be an achievement. Because going to we've got Southampton, Brighton, Villa, Norwich. I mean, they're all in it with us, right? So it's not going to be easy. 8 games, 1.5 points a game, 12 points. That's what I think, based on the current form, is realistic.
I think you stay up. I think it'll be a scrap. Mad. I think
you didn't watch yesterday's game.
I'm mad. I'm mad. I watched mine, unfortunately. I'm mad for thinking you'll stay up.
Yes.
I mean, that's loud, isn't it?
Yes. Look, it's 4 games ago that we played Bournemouth and were fantastic. That performance on New Year's Day was good. It wasn't just hyperbole. It was good performance. Controlled, pressing, passing, Anderson free-flowing up top. Haven't seen anything like it since. Haven't even lined up with the same team since. So, yeah, I don't see where these points are coming from. I don't see at all. Yesterday was so easy for Leicester.
Okay, well, we'll come on to Leicester when we talk your game. Anyway,
we started somehow talking about
Villa. It just didn't happen, did it?
Yeah, I mean, our Villa correspondent, Adam Hopcroft, reckons they'll be all right because they'll be able to score enough goals to stay up.
I think with Villa as well, a little bit difficult to assess because we think they'll buy before the window shuts, don't we?
Well, they've been spending money galore, so they did in the summer. If they've got it, go ahead, crack on, spend it.
There's definitely going to be some sort of incoming, I think. So Grealish, again, pivotal. No FPL returns here, but he was generally, across the reports I read, was man of the match Tuesday night. I mean, suddenly if he gets injured, they're in the shitter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're in the shitter anyway. There's so much reliability on him. He remains a great FPL asset, in my opinion. I think he's a consistent go in and leave now. He's currently at 6.6 at time of recording.
I'll probably be moving James Maddison onto for Grealish, I think, in the next week or so.
They have a tough running, I think, Villa, right from... I mean, they go to Bournemouth in the following game week. On paper, theirs looks the toughest, I would say.
And you know they got on the last day of the season.
They've got yeah.
At our place, can you imagine that? Winner takes all. That would be a game and an atmosphere to be at. It wouldn't even surprise me if it got to that point.
Do you know what? If Spurs game at Palace that day is like a dead rubber, like sort me out. I'm there.
That'll be an atmosphere.
In fact, someone get me a ticket in the Villa end.
Oh, that'll be lively. That will be lively.
Yeah, nothing to look at Villa-wise, bar
Grealish, really, let's be honest, yeah.
The one controversial moment from the game was whether Tyrone Mings should have got a second yellow card for a handball. I don't think he should have, although the first booking he got a tackle for. Abdullah Decore did a massive favour by staying on his feet because that was pretty wild. Villa were much better in the game once Danny Drinkwater went off and Luis, who got the equaliser, came on. That Drinkwater loan sign is such a weird one. It's gone as a footballer, isn't he?
Yeah, it's now the best part of 5 seasons ago when he was at his peak, right, with Leicester.
Yeah,
which is a long time. It's a long time. He really has struggled as a result of lack of football. That's really, really taken its toll. So, no one's buying him at all. Watford, Deeney. Missed penalty.
He loves scoring against Villa, doesn't he?
He does.
That was
He's a Birmingham City fan, isn't he? That's
why. He properly loves it. He seems to always score against them, which is perhaps something with them playing them twice over a 4 or 5 game week period we perhaps should have picked up on beforehand. Their running is better than Villa's, in my opinion, and they feel like more of a form horse at the moment, don't they?
Yeah.
But I think scratched below the surface, were they like SARS injured? We don't know the extent at the moment. He obviously didn't play Tuesday night. I think like Decore, I feel, is absolutely critical to the way they're playing at the moment.
Yep.
And he's important. And again, for me, if you were to go Watford, Decore at 5.7 is where I would be looking.
He does pick up quite a few yellow cards as Decore. I feel like he was booked again the other day. I don't know where he is in terms of close to suspension. Is it 10 yellow cards now?
It is. It's a very good point you make there, Suj, because he's on 8.
Oh. And that's a 3-game ban then if you get to 10, right?
No, don't quote me on that, actually. Tell a lie. He is on 7.
7. So
7 yellow cards. I think it's before... I might have this wrong. I think it's before game week 32.
Yep.
If you get 10, it's a 2-game suspension.
Right.
I'm not sure on the cut-off. But if you hit 10, I think it's a 2-game ban, isn't it?
Right.
So, yes, that's something to certainly keep an eye on.
Bournemouth come back with a bang against Brighton. Sam, FPL Seagull, hope you're all right, mate, tweeting, "We are in trouble." Something along those lines anyway. It wasn't a positive tweet, put it that way.
No, he was down at Dean Court for the game on Tuesday night. He was tweeting during the game. He was just saying, "We're in trouble." And I don't know. It's odd with Brighton because I particularly have praised them so much, and
they've never broken higher than 15th.
They're
really.
still the one down there who I look at and I think, oh, you'll definitely be all right. I just don't see them going down. I would say it's between the other 5, but if they don't start winning games of football, then they're going to be in trouble. And Sam had highlighted this massive run of 4 fixtures. They're 2 into them, and they've got 1 point. They've got you.
Huge
next.
game.
Yeah, it's massive.
Huge game at our place.
And then Watford at home.
Massive.
On the split game week as well. And then a really more difficult run. So, I would say that fixture, West Ham Brighton next week, for the 2,
6-pointer, is it?
We are at the stage now where you start calling them
these
that.
6-pointers, yeah, for sure.
Well, it really, really is. Brighton have got Sheffield United, Palace, Wolves afterwards, where they're capable of picking up, and even Arsenal at home if you want to look further, where they're capable of picking up points in this run coming up. But it's all well praising the way they're playing, etc. They've got to start doing it. I feel like the game Tuesday night could have gone very, very differently. Like Ramsdale's pulled out some serious worldies, one particularly in the first half. It was either at 0-0 or 1-0 from Maupay. Maupay had 8 shots, more than any other player in this game week.
Everyone is hating on him at the moment as well.
I feel like if you're a Neil Maupay owner, you are amongst the unluckiest FPL managers this game week, because he could have walked away with a haul here.
Yeah.
I think the majority of Ramsdale's saves, although looking spectacular, were the sort of saves that he should be making. But that one in the first half was came out Schmeichel-like, didn't he? Particularly made a very good save. I don't know what we can read too much into this with Bournemouth, because I really do feel like this game could have gone the other way.
Yeah.
I don't like the way they're playing at the moment with Solanke in this withdrawn position off Callum Wilson. I don't feel he's creative enough to play that position personally. But it's a changer. They do, as we'd highlighted several times, go on runs every year which are bad. It's never been as bad as it's been recently for them. But then they do tend to spring into a position where they get 10 points out of a possible 12 or something, and they're out of it. And they've got Villa at home next, and suddenly they win that, and then they're put in daylight again.
Yep, they'll be up to that 26-point
But
mark.
I remain worried about them.
I don't think anybody is going to actually break out for the next 5 to 6 games. I think it's going to stay this tight for a little while. Someone will win, someone will lose, someone will pick up points, someone won't.
Both these teams do not buy. Like we've talked about targeting Villa and certain fixtures. I wouldn't be suddenly going, I'm going to look at Callum Wilson versus Villa, for example, or anything like that. And I think the problem with Brighton, I said it on the last pod, is I really never know how they're going to set up. Like Trossard scores against Villa and you think, we spend some time talking about it, and then he's on the bench again. You just never know how they're going to set up. So like both of these teams, like if you've got the keeper or something, it's fine. But otherwise, investing in them just feels completely avoidable.
Maupay, stick or twist for the owners that have him? It's a small number.
I think it's stick at the moment with West Ham, Watford to come.
The vast majority will also own Jamie Vardy, and assume Jamie Vardy is out for 3 or 4 weeks. Then you've got other problems to fix, which are not Maupay shaped. So I think Maupay at the moment, I'm with you, is probably a stick as well.
This is absolutely the sort of time where I feel like pulling on early transfers is not a way to go. I mean, it's religious for me always to look at like statistics and fix and the potential price changes every night. Last night was the first night this season I never looked. It wasn't that I didn't have time to look. I just didn't look. I was like, I'm not interested. There's too many potential issues that could rise from... Take Vardy, for example. You could say, I'll sell early because I can get off the value. He's not performing, etc. But there's information to learn. They play Brentford on Saturday in the FA Cup. They play Villa next midweek in the second leg of the League Cup. So I think with Vardy, we've got to at least wait till then, haven't we? Because if Vardy's fit to play the midweek game, he'll play, won't he?
Yeah.
And then if he
they
performs
want to get
well,
to the final and pick up a
do.
trophy.
So I think for a lot of players, it's very much a wait at the moment.
Palace concede 2. I expected to see a bounce back from Southampton after they threw away the lead at the weekend, and we did see it.
This was probably the best performance of any side this midweek, I would say, from Southampton. Palace didn't register a shot on target, although should be said that Cenk Tosun had an unbelievable chance at 0-0 and nearly managed to put it out of the Sainsbury's end somehow. That's a long story, the Sainsbury's end. If you've been to Selhurst, you'll know. But Southampton, really good. Couple of players really stood out on this. Obviously, Danny Ings rested.
Yeah.
Got it wrong.
It was just the wrong day.
Yeah, which is bad news for me because he's probably playing against Spurs now in the Cup at the weekend.
Yeah.
But the two midfielders really stood out here, Redmond and also Armstrong.
Redmond has always been a potential FPL asset, but doesn't pick up points. So when you say he stood out from a footballing point of view, but that doesn't mean it by any stretch that we're looking at him from an FPL point of view.
Well, he stood out because he got 13 FPL points as well, right?
First time this season he's in double points, probably. Has he had any hauls at all?
No, he had a 10-pointer in game week 3, actually, at Brighton. But it's only
20 weeks ago.
He's doubled his attacking returns for the season here.
So it's not good.
So he's only on 4. He frustrates me so much because I've said it numerous times. I really think he's got ability, Nathan Redmond. He's the sort of player I would have liked to have seen Pochettino get hold of at Spurs.
Yeah, you've said that before, and I don't doubt that.
There's no point getting him now because coaching's a little bit different, by the way. But I really like him as a player. I think watching Norwich the extended highlights of this one, he played like Wilfried Zaha should play. Getting off that flank, getting involved and linking, and not just being stationary all the time. I took a hit that didn't work out for me twice this week, but I'm still so pleased I've got Wilfried Zaha out of that squad now, finally. Because if I hadn't got rid of him at the weekend, he would have played for me this week again.
Yeah.
And then I look at the next fixture and go, oh, maybe it's the next one.
Gone.
But also Stuart Armstrong impressed as well. I'd noticed only Morpay had more shots than him this game week. And actually, he's an interesting one. When we did the little piece on Southampton and Watford a couple of main podcasts ago, I think it was episode 28, we'd highlighted the fact that rather quietly, he's now nailed down a place in Southampton's midfield. 5.2, 0.1% owned. Financially, $1 million short than Redmond. He offers a better alternative, actually. Armstrong's now on 3 attacking returns for the season, which is also poor, but it is 2 goals in the last 3. Likes a shot. I see an improving player there. He wants to get involved from that right midfield position.
Bless me.
Bless you, Suj. And they also, Southampton, coped with having to change at the back with an injury to Bednar. It was Vestergaard's mistake that let Tosson in very early in the game. But they managed to get through it relatively untroubled. And McCarthy only got 6 points, mate, because they never made a save in the game.
No.
This was really good from Southampton. Palace are just... They feel like the epitome right now of nowhere. Like, they're going to be all right. They're going to get enough points to be safe.
They've already got enough points to be safe, in my
opinion. They do things like, go to City and get a well-fought draw and surprise everybody when you're certain they'll get beat. And then they walk into this sort of fixture and they get well beat themselves. There's an unpredictability about Palace, but a predictability in terms of where they're going to finish this league season. I think their assets are complete avoid. If you've got Martin Kelly, you don't need to rush to sell. He did start again ahead of Joel Ward, although was withdrawn on 61 minutes. Just about got us a 1-pointer rather than a 0-pointer.
Yeah.
One to watch. It could be that Joel Ward will be back in for Palace's next league fixture.
Who's next? City?
Oh, I don't know. Don't you normally keep an eye on this shit?
I do. I'll tell you what, I've logged myself out of the fantasy on my phone. I don't actually know my password because it's logged into my computer. So I'm going to have to do a reset password. I've done a man-child here. Everton 2, Newcastle 2, if we're going alphabetically.
Oh, wow. I tell you what, if I'd have been an Everton fan on Tuesday night, I'd have walked out the ground, and trust me, I've had nights like this where you just walk out the ground and you're like, what did I just watch? It
feels like a loss when you
100%.
You get a draw like that.
It's one of them. Sometimes you leave the ground and you think, I was going to go straight home, and you think, do you know what? I just need a pint by myself. This is one of them where you think, no, best thing I can do is go home. You get halfway home and you walk into an offie with a doorbell and you pick up a bottle of whiskey, mate. It's so bad. How have they lost that game? The only shots on target Newcastle had was in injury time. Florian Lejeune was the triple captain that we all needed, possibly.
Yeah.
I can't believe that that's happened to them.
If you're an Everton fan, based on what you've seen in the last month, you can't be disappointed. There has been an improvement in Everton.
Oh, there's plenty of them are disappointed.
With Ancelotti and what's been happening?
No, not with Ancelotti. I think the general feeling is, look,
Richarlison's out.
Good, qualified manager. They have got, yes, Richarlison's been out. Sigurdsson's been underperforming, but he's out as well. Iwobi's been out. They've missed Gomez. They've missed Gbamin. So there's a lot of unrest at Goodison in terms of their performance in midfield, but essentially the midfield's not fit as well.
I mean, I said it on the weekend, when the midfield arrives and it's Bernard, Delph, Davies, Walcott, it's not a midfield that strikes fear into the heart of the opposition, especially from an attacking point of view. But Moise Kean got his first goal. So hopefully that'll give the young guy confidence, because I want to see him be successful. But obviously it's difficult league to come into.
Yeah, I was pleased to see him score as well. Walcott had, I think, second highest XA so far this game week from the first 9 fixtures. I mean,
Which is the greatest game week of all time.
Aaron Moy, by the way, I should have said had the highest.
Yeah.
Theo Walcott, do not buy. Just don't forget that.
Sure, even if he gets a double price rise this week?
I couldn't care less if they were playing you at home 10 times in a row. I still wouldn't buy Theo Walcott ever again. No way. Another returns for Calvert-Lewin here.
Yeah.
Interestingly, he's another one who seems to be picking up a few yellow cards. He's on 6 now. Remind me before the Twitter queues, we'll have a look at yellow cards. Which is sort of restricting him a little bit from a bonus perspective. He's doing fine. Everton's fixtures are meh.
Pretty tricky.
Yeah, it's Watford away, Palace at home. And then they play in 6 of the 7 after Palace in game week 27. 6 of the so-called Big 7. The one that's missing from that, fortunately, is Liverpool, I believe. Is that right? That doesn't feel right. Liverpool have still got to go. No, Liverpool are in that run. Sorry.
Yes.
I'd be avoiding Everton. On Newcastle, my intention pre-injuries was obviously to go into Jamal Lascelles. There's a brilliant gif knocking about as well of Lascelles screaming at Calvert-Lewin and Calvert-Lewin giving the
I saw
things.
that.
Have you seen it?
Yeah. I've seen that.
My intention was to really look at Jamal Lascelles pre-Norwich. Now, I think I'm probably not going to be able to, because I've got probably other injury issues and selection issues to deal with, which are more important. But I would like to go in. It would still be him at 4.2. I mean, it's worth saying, Lejeune with his 2 goals came from 14 minutes as a substitute and just happened to be up for 2 frantic set pieces. That'll be a big issue for Everton as well going forward, because when that sort of thing happens, it causes panic. It causes panic amongst the supporters for games going forward, and it actually probably be worse for them in home games than away games, where the trust in holding on to a lead has to be earned back by the supporters. So they will need not a consecutive run, but run of home clean sheets before the fans can feel they can have confidence in that again.
Yeah.
Because suddenly that sort of thing just puts you completely on edge. There are Everton supporters as well that are pretty unhappy with Jordan Pickford, I'm hearing at the moment. I don't think there's a threat to his place in the team.
I think that's a bit harsh. He pulled, at the weekend, he pulled off a number of good saves. I think Pickford was right at the weekend. I don't know what his performance was like yesterday.
The issue with Pickford is, and I've spoken about him before, about the difference between international football and Premier League football, is the sort of set piece he's going to face at international football are not so much of an issue to what he faces in the Premier League. In the Premier League, he's getting targeted and he's struggling with certain things set piece wise. He doesn't come and dominate that area, which also means take the Newcastle equalisers. Everton end up really deep because they haven't quite got the confidence in him, I think, to come and sweep it up behind. Whereas, say, it's difficult to compare the teams, but Liverpool, City are happy to leave the space and know that an Alisson or an Ederson will come and sweep that area.
Yeah.
Those two teams wouldn't have been that deep defending that set piece that late in the game. And the goal was Sunday League football stuff. Absolute car crash. And sometimes you don't get what you deserve, but it feels on this occasion, Everton through sloppiness almost did. It was a big point for Newcastle. Them and Burnley, we both looked at this time last week and were like,
sucked in maybe,
but
they're not.
Newcastle get 4 points, Burnley will come on to 6 points, and it feels like they're out of it.
It does. Sheffield United 0, Manchester City 1. I suppose considering how good City are from an attacking point of view, Sheffield United take this and say, you know what, we really held them. And I listened to this on the radio more. I didn't watch it, but it felt like Sheffield United really made them work hard for this.
Yes.
Just by sheer work rate. When I listen to how organised Sheffield United are and how much effort they put in, I'm like, Christ, man.
City's quality in the end showed. I mean, De Bruyne had quite a quiet game, But it just goes back to why I said there's no way I would sell him as the trustable City asset, because if anybody else plays that cross, we go mad about it. And I know people say people always go mad because it's De Bruyne, but we've just come so used to him being able to do that.
Yeah.
All he needs is the yard, and he's very often he's going to pick someone out. The amount of goals Aguero or Jesus or Sterling have scored like that off De Bruyne assists.
Everybody was worried about, obviously, Aguero getting minutes. He doesn't need, even if he comes off the bench, he's likely to score. He's been such a reliable FPL asset, but it feels like he's not top of everyone's list at the moment. Is it just because financially, if you get a 3 Liverpool in, it just makes it too tricky to get Aguero in?
I don't think it even is. I mean, I could go Vardy.
It's the Champions League thing.
I've got the money to go Vardy to Aguero, for example, and it's something that if Vardy's ruled out, I'm going to have to give it some careful consideration. With Aguero's and Jesus, I wouldn't be put off by the fixtures. It just doesn't matter. With City have got on paper what looks a tough run. I wouldn't worry about that. But I don't know which one's going to play.
It's funny, you've got the FDR there for Manchester City up. I remember, like, when you look at the likes of Liverpool and City last year, there was never any red fixtures. Like, they didn't consider anything red for these guys, and now they do.
Well, they've got 6, according to FPL's FDR.
Yeah.
They have 6 4s in the next 8.
I don't reckon last year they had 6 4s in the whole season on the FDR.
It's nowhere near as bad as that. I mean, Spurs away as a 4. Stop it, please. Arsenal at home, a 4. Stop it, please. Man United away, a 4. Like, stop it, please.
Yeah.
So you'd argue Leicester away, I'd say, 4. Liverpool at home, that's similar, 4. Chelsea away at like 3/4.
Yeah.
The rest are 3s at best, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, Tottenham away, really, I'm not trying, it should be a green for City.
I agree with you on that.
We ain't got a midfield. What is Kevin De Bruyne going to do to us?
No.
Seriously.
I can't look further than Liverpool next week right now in terms of pain and fear. So yeah, I'll leave you to worry about City coming to your place.
I ain't gonna worry about it. I'll sleep absolutely fine because I know what's coming.
Captaincy on Kevin De Bruyne.
Nah, I'd still be going like Mane or Salah. I'd say Mane or Salah because they have Mane, but I don't know, might have a leg break by now.
Yeah.
No, I'll be captain Liverpool asset, be it against obviously an informed Southampton in game week 25.
Dean Henderson, penalty save. Thank you very much. Some Sky points there, nice and tasty.
Now this is an interesting one because I think people for a long time, because my opinion on the Aguero is I don't think Aguero is a good penalty taker either. I really, really don't. I know he scored a shitload, but he's also missed quite a few as well. I don't think he's a great penalty taker. Jesus has now shown a few times that he's definitely not a good penalty taker. I think he's missed 3 out of 6 now. So we're all left, every time City have a penalty, we're all left looking at it going, why is Kevin De Bruyne not taking it?
Yeah.
He's probably...
Even Raheem's missed a couple, but he's scored plenty. I mean, he scored a penalty at our place. So.
He's probably the best striker of a football anywhere.
Yeah. So, but then they do practice penalties in training, and maybe he's just not a good penalty taker in training.
You know who the best one is at penalties at City, don't you? It's Edison, apparently.
So they say.
I tell you what's interesting about this. If we go back to the 100-point season, and City had a double in game week 37 against Huddersfield and Brighton.
Yep.
And there was some rumour went round, wasn't it, about could Edison take one? Because I think he was the only player in the squad who hadn't scored or something. And what was held as an opinion then was that it would be disrespectful to the opposition. Like, they've already won the league, etc. It would feel a little bit like taking the piss. Let me tell you, if they're 0-0 against West Ham next week and Edison steps up to take the penalty, it's not taking the piss.
No. Pick the best player at taking penalties to take the penalty. That's my point.
It's not unheard of.
No.
I'm not saying it's likely. I think it's incredibly unlikely. But honestly, if he took Man City's next penalty, and I think it would be Aguero would have to not be on the pitch, I actually wouldn't be shocked. It would be a jaw-dropping moment.
Yeah.
But I'd be like, all right.
More to the point, I wouldn't be offended by it if it was against us. Would you be offended by it if it was against Spurs?
To be honest, oh shit, they're playing us next, didn't they? Not you.
We're at the beginning of February, mate.
If he stepped up to take the penalty against us, do you know what the first thing I would think is going to score? But it's not. You've had people like Schillebert, who was the Paraguayan keeper? Was Schillebert, wasn't it?
I do not know.
His name's escaping me. René Higuita, Colombian.
Yeah.
It's more common in sort of South America, but it's not unheard of. And the way City win the ball back, they're more liable to be able to do it than anyone else. We're not suggesting go and get Edison in your FPL teams. I'm saying when we said that time, no chance. I'm not saying now it's no chance.
Yeah. I wouldn't. My point more than anything is I wouldn't be offended by it if they think he's their best penalty taker. Crack on, let him take it.
Why did Guardiola say it?
What, that he's their best penalty taker?
Yeah.
Why does Guardiola say half the stuff he says? I don't know. I find it mad. I feel like there's a competition amongst Premier League managers for coming out with the most outrageous statements. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the one that's trying to jump to the top of the tree with random statements at the moment.
On Sheffield United, briefly. Billy Sharp playing was a big surprise. I don't see what the thinking was there with that, because with respect, I think he would have been, if they'd have come up 3-4 years ago in the Premier League, I think he would have done great for them. But I don't understand. It just didn't make sense to me that he didn't go with Mousse or McBurney instead, because you would have thought, although City countered it by playing three at the back, working the channels would have been a good idea for Sheffield United. So I just didn't understand the thinking with that. Lundstram obviously was left out as well. No drama, no panic. We saw this coming. We spoke about it. We said that he probably wouldn't play the Arsenal and Manchester City fixtures. They'll play in the Cup this weekend. I think they've got Millwall away, so we get some clues on that. You can't sell him. They've got amazing fixtures coming up, Sheffield United, and there's going to be a lot of people in the community looking at defensive double-ups, be it a Henderson and a Lundstram or Lundstram, Baldock. We mentioned Egan, Basham are very unlikely to get you returns, but they're both still 4.5 is a really cheap way in. Brilliant run of fixtures for Sheffield United. You are going to want something defensively. In fact, it would almost be dangerous not to.
Arsenal 2, Chelsea 2, Arsenal 2. A couple of late goals in the game. And obviously, I think credit to Arsenal for having to put up with 10 men for most of the game. But it's interesting to see Martinelli on the score sheet. I actually think, in a strange way, if Aubameyang was to leave, I don't know if it would be the worst thing in the world. Say
We've spoken about this.
Because Martinelli now is becoming a fan's favourite. He's settling into the team. He's scoring. It's not that he's just like there as a bit part player. Aubameyang is getting on a bit. The thing is, Aubameyang's still got a good couple of years as a 20-goal-a-season striker. He's that good. But if he hasn't got the desire to want to be there, they have these young players, and I think Martinelli is showing that I think he could, over time, fill that gap. Lacazette played well, worked his socks off from the reports that I've seen.
He's not scoring at the moment, though.
No, but he is a proven goal scorer. I wouldn't worry too much for Lacazette from that point of view. I think improvements from Arsenal, decent here. To go to Chelsea and pick up that point and come from behind and be down to 10 men, decent.
Just on Martinelli, when we first saw him, sort of September time-ish, or whenever we first spoke about him, the first thing we both agreed on was he didn't really look like an Arsenal player.
No.
And we didn't mean that disrespectfully, but just because he's busy.
Work rate, energy.
The way that they want to play under Arteta, really it should suit him to go and play in that wide area with a little bit of freedom to come off and go. That's why I actually really agree with you. We've spoken before about the imbalance of Arsenal's squad. The problem is, people go, they could deal with one of Aubameyang or Lacazette, but then suddenly if one of them gets injured, you're in the Spurs position now, right, with no Kane for months, or United without Rashford, and you go, now it's lightweight up front. So whichever path you take there, you're almost damned if you do and damned if you don't. It's one to keep an eye on, though. I'd be, if Aubameyang or Lacazette were to be out for a prolonged period, he'd really tempt me. Was he 4-5? Is he Martinelli?
Cheap as chips is Martinelli.
4-5, yeah. He's obviously scored in the two consecutive fixtures for Arsenal now. Just a note, obviously David Luiz sent off. David Luiz will not be suspended for Arsenal's fixture at Burnley. He'll miss the FA Cup game for a one-game ban, so it's worth noting. I thought Xhaka, actually, when he moved back to centre-half, did quite well.
Yeah.
And Mustafi, for 85 minutes of the game, played all right. But he's such a level of shithousery, Class A level fuck-up that he's taken to levels of even getting his mates sent off now. because if he just passes the ball properly, like the whole incident doesn't happen. And there's every chance. Although Chelsea actually played better when Arsenal had 11. Once Arsenal then set up blocks and started saying, okay, right, key here is to stay into the game, Chelsea found it more difficult, and they're having a number of fixtures where it's got like that, particularly at Stamford Bridge and as we saw at Newcastle last week in terms of creating and converting chances, right?
Yeah.
Chelsea, as I said on the last main pod, are going to finish fourth by default. They're going to crawl over the line. They're going to finish fourth at about 58 points, mate. It's ridiculous. They have 3 more difficult fixtures to come on paper. Leicester away, United at home, Spurs at home. We're in that period I highlighted so many times. It's 1 point from 2 now, including the Newcastle fixture. It's not all right with Chelsea right now. I think they're getting away with it because United, Spurs and Arsenal have been so shit during the course of this season. Whereas a different season, they'd be sitting 6th, 7th in the league at the moment.
Yep.
And not everything would be well. There was low expectations on Chelsea this year anyway, with obviously the young players. So they're getting a pass at the moment. But I wouldn't be fooled into thinking this is great for Chelsea. Interesting, Christensen has now started 4 in a row, dating back to the FA Cup win against Nottingham Forest, when we all thought before then that it was just competition between Zuma or Tomori, or both Zuma and Tomori, with Rudiger as seen in the win over Spurs before Christmas. I don't know what's happened there. They're no better with Christensen at the back. And shout out for N'Golo Kante, who commemorated Liverpool's title win with his own Steven Gerrard moment for Martinelli's equaliser.
Oh, dear. I think I'm in agreement with you on Chelsea. I'm not looking at any Chelsea assets at the moment, but let's wait and see.
The two to keep an eye on, no, I wouldn't look at Chelsea at all. Just not looking. Arsenal, obviously, interestingly, Aubameyang back for the Burnley fixture in game week 25, and I think if Vardy's ruled out, that's the one that a lot of people will go to.
I mean, it's what was the talk of the town on Twitter yesterday, so yeah, definitely going to happen.
It's a possible move that I made. I just want to quickly check on what his ownership is at the moment. Aubameyang,
it was 15% before.
13.2, yeah.
Yeah, so it's fairly low.
It's taken a drop. It's 10.7.
Yeah.
So if you've got a spare million knocking about or so, and you've had, or if you're on Vardy, it should be doable.
It could be the move that you can make.
I think that's probably most likely for me. Fixture-wise, beyond Burnley, Newcastle at home, Everton at home, then there's City away, West Ham at home, Brighton away, Southampton away, Norwich at home, Wolves away before game week 34. It's a good run for Arsenal. I actually think if they can sort themselves out, this will sound ridiculous, I think they might be the ones that end up getting closest to Chelsea. I don't think they can finish top 4 from their position, but they might actually get close.
Let's talk about last night's games, starting with Leicester 4, West Ham 1. Did you catch any highlights in the end, or was it too late after you got back from Tottenham?
No. When I see you got well and truly stitched up, I properly went out of my way to watch quite a bit of the game,
Yeah. I mean, Leicester were just back to being and doing what Leicester do. When you get an injury to, who was it that got injured? Mendy, that came off and Ndidi came on. And
Ndidi's recovery is miraculous. He's meant to be out for a month.
Knee surgery and 3 weeks
10
later.
10 days or something. Incredible.
Vardy comes off, Iheanacho comes on. They dominated from start to finish. Maybe there was you could argue that maybe at the start of the second half we had a 5-minute spell on top. Maybe, if you really wanted to. That was an all-round performance. The problem was that we had no outball at all. Until Antonio came on and he could hold it up a little bit, we had no outball. We had no attacking threat whatsoever. Literally, the ball would just keep coming back. We couldn't keep possession for any period of time. My son was watching the first half with me before I had to send him to bed. And it came up in the bottom corner.
You sure he didn't ask to go to bed?
It came up with the possession stats, and he'd never seen possession stats. So he asked me, what's that 80-20 thing? I was like, possession. He's like, what does that mean? It's like how long they've got the ball and how long we've got the ball. He's like, all right then. And then every 10 minutes after that, he kept asking me, what's the progression? And what's any other word other than possession?
Good lad.
So I kept checking the stats, and it's even in the first half, 77-24 or 23 or whatever. It was absolute mullering. And if we can't get create anything attacking wise, how are you ever going to give any respite to the defence? You're not.
You tweeted at half time saying that if you were going to set up that defensively,
just play 6 defenders and 4 midfielders and fuck off the attack. What's the point?
Don't have Valera and Lanzini on the pitch.
What's the point if they're gonna how many touches are they gonna have and how many chances are they gonna create? None. So just don't bother with them and just play with a back 6 and a midfield 4 and be done with it. But they were bad. Like from an attacking point of view, we didn't trouble them one little bit. Not at all. I tell you what, we're talking about Vardy being injured and people jumping onto Aubameyang. Iheanacho is definitely something I would consider. He played well when he came on. He skinned a couple of our defenders. He's skillful, quick, pacey. He'll score goals. I think Iheanacho looked like a really, really tasty option. It wouldn't surprise me if that was the move that I decided to make. If Vardy's out for 3 or 4 weeks, I think Iheanacho will just slot straight in. There's no issue with fatigue or anything because he hasn't been playing that much. He's probably played a little more over Christmas. I think Iheanacho, you could do worse than go to Iheanacho.
Would you be put off by the fixtures? So say if Vardy's out for a month, would you look at it and go, Chelsea at home, Wolves away, Man City at home? Because that would put me off, I think.
They were good yesterday, yeah. They were good. They were back to that team that we know can beat anyone anytime.
But that's what the 3 fixtures, Chelsea, Wolves, Man City.
Yeah. No, I think they could beat all 3 of them.
With respect, it looked like there was a bit of towel throwing in towards the end of that game last night.
Well, I don't know. We had to work hard. It wouldn't surprise me if they were knackered by the end of it. I don't think it was towel throwing in, but we would have been knackered because we were made to just run left to right everywhere, torn to pieces. That Leicester performance yesterday, they'll beat Chelsea and they'll beat Wolves. Man City's a different game because they can be very difficult, but I think they were good enough. I was almost tempted to be put off James. If Vardy's not there, then I won't leave Maddison out because his mate's not around for him to create the chances for. But honestly, I think Iheanacho could fill Jamie Vardy's shoes for a little while and at a much cheaper price. If you jumped on Robert Snodgrass, it's unfortunate. I mean, obviously he came off at half-time with an injury. He soldiered through the second half of the first half with that little bit of a knock. And again, he's up there as he's a soldier, right? He'll work. I've never not seen him put 100% into any game. So he's a real loss if he's out for a little while. Noble picked up the penalty and put it away nicely as he does. So if you went with him like our friend Chris, FPL Addict, did, that was what you went on for him for. You got
the hope of a penalty.
Well,
and you got it.
And you got it. So
congratulations.
That's what it's about. I would have, if I'd had to pick a West Ham midfielder, he's the one I would have gone to because of that opportunity. Because I don't see any creative other opportunities. Snodgrass's delivery maybe from set pieces.
I would have gone Snodgrass if I was going to go in.
I don't think I would. I'd have gone Noble. But regardless, Leicester good.
But there were other people who went other ways. So, for example, my wife, Miss at PlanetFPL Wifey, sent me a message about 4, 5 o'clock, and I went, don't forget, deadline's 6:30.
Nice.
And I'm thinking, I might not even be home before this deadline goes. So I was like, look, do it. So she's like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. So I get a message back a little while later, and she goes, double game week, innit? I was like, yeah, Liverpool. She said, who else is playing twice? And I said, I just messaged West Ham. And I meant that as in, like, fuck off, don't look at West Ham. So I gets in, and I got in, it was about 6:25, and I walked in the door. I went, all right, Harry, picked him up. I was like, babes, have you got Ings? She went, yeah. I said, he's been benched, sub him. I don't know what to do. So she's done it. And then she, oh, yeah, by the way, I did some good moves for the double game week. I said, yeah, what's that? She, yeah, I got Ogbonna and Allaire. And
Why?
And I didn't say anything. She just went, oh, did I do wrong?
Yes, you did.
But Allaire got an assist, right? For the penalty.
Yeah.
So Ogbonna's on -1 though, love.
Great. No, not looking at
Just
it.
before we move on, just a couple of Leicester players I want to pick up on. James Maddison, who I got in pre-game week 23. And if you'd have said to me that Leicester will score 5 in the Burnley and West Ham fixtures, I'd have gone, yep, absolutely delighted with that. Can't believe neither Maddison or Vardy were involved in any of them. It's the way it goes.
Yeah.
But he looked, eye test wise, he looked, like he was over it.
For the sake of Darren Randolph's fingernails, he would have put that ball was going in the top corner. What a save that was.
He looked like he was a lot of second assist moments.
Yes.
A lot of them, yeah.
Initially, Vardy goes off, I would have got rid of Maddo. I'm not going to get rid of Maddo. But yeah, he had that one chance and a couple of other chances as well. Yeah.
Dropped in price Wednesday night to 7.6. I don't think it's a buy, but having got him in and really wanted something those two fixtures, the knee-jerk in you is often, sod it, I've missed the good fixtures. I think I'm going to give James Maddison a run here and give him a chance. I also wanted to mention Harvey Barnes, who, I'm going to say something really controversial here. There are some things in Harvey Barnes that remind me of Gareth Bale.
Okay.
It's just certain things when he's striding. He looks like he's so powerful and can tear people apart. Now, I don't think he has the technical quality to compare with someone like Bale. But then, when Bale first broke in, neither did he. I think he's got real potential. He could be one, who might make a real late push for the European Championship squad, I would say, for England, possibly. He would be a real outside bet and a bit of a wild card call, maybe. But he really impressed from what I saw last night.
He was decent. There's one other player that I would say that if he's just a little expensive, so I can't justify the money, and that's Ricardo Pereira. Great player. Possibly up there as one of the best right-backs in the league. So good. Defensively and offensively, I think Ricardo Pereira was class yesterday.
It's interesting with Leicester, just to sum up, because obviously you can also look at still Siunku, Evans, Cheap, Ben Chilwell played again on Wednesday night is a possible alternative to Pereira, and Didi back makes a real difference. We haven't spoken about Jose Perez, who second half of the season always seems to have a run.
Off the back of those two difficult results, that was the Leicester that we know and love. So, yeah.
Another reason not to make early moves is information not just gathered by potential return of fitness or not for Jamie Vardy, is particularly with, say, Leicester, what we will learn in terms of fixtures going forward before the deadline for game week 25.
Yep.
So if to beat Villa, not just are you looking at those three difficult fixtures, but the one coming back to is Norwich away, which might be off.
Yeah.
And then they become, for me, a no-buy zone. You can still hold their players, but they become a no-buy.
Yep. Tell me about your lot last night.
I'll cover Norwich first. Norwich didn't deserve to lose the game. Same naiveties with them. I mean, they're desperately unlucky with the winning goal with the big deflection. They had a lot of half-chance efforts, shots from distance in the first half. They probably had more shots in the game. Ball possession was 50-50. I said I thought they'd probably have more of the ball. They missed Buendia, but Rupp and Duda, the two fellas who played, I thought they both did okay.
Dudu.
Duda and Rupp. I preferred Rupp, actually, but all the reports I've seen looking back on the ratings was a preference for Duda. I really enjoyed, perversely, the performance of Todd Cantwell. I think I've sold, but he does still offer great value at that price. If you're intending to play regular 5 midfield or dip him in and out for certain fixtures, I think he's still a great hold. He's another one of a few players I've seen this year who I've seen live and gone, yeah, do you know what? You're better than I thought you were. He's a good player. He's really busy. He links well. He's calm on the ball. Good player. Defensively, they let themselves down a little bit, and they do, don't they? I mean, missed Godfrey's not helped them with the red card in the Bournemouth fixture. But Norwich can take positives from this, and actually think, in spite of the bad fixtures, like if you're on Pookie, it's okay. Admittedly, the 2 goals are from penalties, but it doesn't matter. He's the man down there in terms of
the striker,
conversion, etc. So,
talisman. Is the one.
You can go with a run of like a Pookie, Jimenez, Ings, for example, all at respectable values. Pump the money elsewhere, leave those front 3, and it's okay.
Yeah.
If you want to go down that route, and we might get, if Vardy's going to be out for a while, we might see some more variations in terms of teams' forward front lines, which would be interesting.
Yeah.
But beyond that Newcastle fixture, they do have a really difficult run. We've got FPL Badger on next Thursday's Clash of the Correspondents as well. So we'll get a bit more opinion from him on the new guys and where they're at. I know he was at the game last night, and he was in agreement with me that they didn't deserve to lose. But he did say, like, himself, how many times am I going to say that? It's the same failings, unfortunately.
The phrase that I hate more than anything else is "too good to go down," because I've seen it and heard it.
No, we've never said that about them. And
a lot of people have said that about them. They play too good football to go down. They don't deserve to go down. BS.
What they got left now is going to be 14 fixtures to go, and they're going to probably need about 22 odd points. Now, you need to get to that, they've got to show top half form. I don't think they're capable to have a consistent run, and they've got difficult fixtures coming up as well.
Your lot, same old.
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about them if you don't want to.
No.
Talk
I
about
do,
Manchester United,
we need
Burnley. Son scored, Ali scored. A lot of people are held on to those guys.
First thing, a lot of the listeners may not have watched the Spurs game, as certainly in England's the Leicester game and the Manchester United games were televised live. Put your hand up to yourself in your own private space and look a bit weird to the people around you. If the only thing you've seen of the Spurs game is the highlights on Match of the Day. Now, if you did, you've been absolutely duped, mate. Because let me tell you that the two clowns that were on Match of the Day last night did not watch the Spurs game.
Okay.
You didn't watch it. They've seen the report. They've seen 10 minutes of the game. They've had some word by a Lecky or a runner at the back who've gone, yep, go and highlight him for 10 minutes. Dele Alli was probably the worst player on the pitch.
Okay. And they're bigging him up as
raving about him, mate. Raving about him.
Right, okay.
Dele Alli's first touch last night, I lost count how many times his first touch was so bad.
Right.
But
he scored a goal and scored FPL points, and no one really cares.
He scored the type of goal, the first goal, which was probably only he would score. And the second goal also comes from a running behind, which he's good at. For me, position-wise, he's playing far too withdrawn. It was him getting in the box that essentially won the game, so contradict what I've said. But his performance overall was poor. Looking at the numbers this morning, you can look at Heung-min Son and see 5 shots and think, yep, that's good. That's what I expected. Poor. Not getting into enough threatening positions. Lucas Moura down blind alleys. Don't consider. It's worth saying we've got Manchester City next. Spurs, FPL-wise, are absolute do not buy.
I don't think I'll own another Spurs player this season.
I'm possibly in the same position. Depends where we get double-wise, if a little bit of confidence gets built up. There were things that I liked in the first half last night. The tempo was better. I think the way Norwich played made it although there weren't a lot of chances in the game, made it a good watch. Like, they came to try and play football with us, made it a better watch. Spurs played with a bit more tempo in the first half, and Harry Winks went off injured about 10 minutes into the second half, and we dropped off badly. Mate.
Wow.
At 1-1, there was only one winner in the game. It was Norwich. There was a point probably about 60 seconds before we scored, and the old man got out of the chair, didn't he? Fuck off, you shit manager. Mourinho won't get uttered by name on this podcast again. He will simply be known going forward as he who picks the team. I'm so done with him. Positives last night, because the tempo dropped off.
Celso maybe?
Aurier played well at right back, which, considering the poor fellow has to get forward every time we win it and get straight back every time we defend, people seem to forget as well how he plays positionally. Giovanni Lo Celso was absolutely fantastic. I mean, he was best player on the pitch by miles. And positive, big one, from a central midfield position. He can play. He can pass the ball. And what we saw last night as well is he can press and tackle as well. It was a brilliant all-round performance. He was shattered by the end. It's also worth noting that not only did Winks go off injured, but then he who picks the team in his madness then decided to remove Lo Celso from that central midfield position as well and move him to wide right. And suddenly we end up in a position where we've got Ericsson and Dyer. Then they equalise and he's like, oh, sugar, I've got to go for it. Oh, I know, I'll throw the kid Jedson Fernandez in there as well, who did okay, by the way. Yeah, please, Daniel Levy, please go and buy me a mobile holding midfield player who can pass the ball 10 yards to players in the same colour shirt. I'd really, really appreciate that. We're going nowhere fast, man.
Enjoyable. Let's wrap up the City Burnley game as well. We'll do a few Twitter questions. I don't really want to, but we will because we have listeners now. It's not like they pay for this show.
We always did. I mean,
don't care about them anymore.
No,
don't care about football anymore.
Really? Please don't buy your tickets to PlanetFPL Live free.
I'm missing. We've got 2 home games in April, and I'm missing both of them. I don't care.
That's a touch.
And I don't care. Like, we've got Chelsea early, and I'm on holiday, Easter holidays, and then we've got. I can't remember who we're playing on the 18th, but I'm missing that game as well because my wife's cousin's getting married. So I'm missing the April games. I'm like, thank God for that. Honestly, I don't. FA Cup this weekend. Don't even want to go. I don't care about football. Manchester United fans probably feel the same.
Burnley and Watford. Is that what you're missing? Watford's in May. Or is it Chelsea at home at the start?
I'm missing Chelsea and I'm missing the 2nd April home game. 18th, I think it is.
Burnley.
Yeah, Burnley.
Right. Talking of Burnley.
Nice
segue.
I saw a tweet that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said that if strikers like Jay Rodriguez are resorting to shots like that, we've come far. Or was that someone?
That can't be right.
I think that might have been a spoof. I'm not sure. I saw some.
Can't be right. It was a screamer.
It was a great finish. Great finish. I mean, both goals. I thought Chris Woods was a good finish.
I questioned the goalkeeper a little bit, by the way. Although that said, I think it was probably a little bit of shock. Like, you can't be expecting that shot on his left peg from that angle.
From Jay Rodriguez.
Yeah.
I don't know. United up and down, up and down, up and down. I'm not going near Burnley. Don't stop tweeting Nick Pope's the saviour, whoever you are. I'm not going back there. He's in my North team, and I'll take that, and that's plenty good for me.
All those who've gone, look at this shit Burnley run coming up. Leicester, penalty save, Man United, clean sheet, another 10-pointer. That's FPL, and I guess that's why you don't piss about with your goalkeepers, really, unless it's to injury or to help you with value. Just don't piss about it. Just like, we're going to both have McCarthy at Liverpool next week, isn't it?
Deal with it.
It is what it is. Just crack on.
You never know. I might wildcard before then, but...
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, like, that's just me saying I might wildcard before then.
I
Quite a few are pulling it out of the bag, though. Players, decent FPL players are right now. Feeling the pressure.
Some bad ones doing it as well.
Yeah,
no, it's okay. It's if you've got enough problems that you need to fix.
99.
I've looked at... I mean, look at me. The thing is, you get like a lot of us would have had. I've got Greenwood. I've got in, and remember I left the money back, and people were like, "What are you doing with the money?" And I went, "Well, it's partly if I've made a mistake on Greenwood." Well, I probably have, but then depending on Vardy's injury is going to depend where their funds are going. It might be that Greenwood's going to become third sub for me, for example, and I'm shifting the money elsewhere.
Has anything changed from the weekend on United?
There isn't enough that makes me want a wild card currently. Yeah. Is there anything from the weekend that's changed from United? Yeah, they were worse.
So, no, from an FPL point of view, what we said on the main podcast earlier in the week, Brandon Williams maybe, but pretty much not much else is worth looking at. No one else is worth looking at.
I couldn't believe personally, and perhaps it's oversight for myself, I couldn't believe that Greenwood didn't play. It is what it is. But I just so... Mata, Pereira, Matic, Fred, I mean, that's what you're rocking up with. We shouldn't be surprised when they're rocking out games like that in any fixture they let you. That Burnley set up exactly how you'd want a team to set up against Man United. Sit off, drop deep, go on then, break us down. We're not going to let you in behind, and we know that we can do you when we get our chances.
Chris Wood, consideration?
Yeah, he's interesting, Wood. He was someone...
I owned him earlier in the season.
I really looked at him pre-season because his numbers from the back end of last season were very, very good. Him and Rodriguez might be sparking up a little bit, but... better understanding now with Ashley Barnes' injury. There's still not a look for me. It's Arsenal next, and then there's another difficult fixture still. But massive results for Burnley over the last week, which now you go, yeah, all right, safe. Whereas they lose those two, which we would have expected. They'd be sitting there on 24 points as well, wouldn't they? And we're going, yeah, in trouble. United, I looking at Solskjaer in his interview after the game, he was just going around in circles. There was nothing analytical in his assessment of the performance that said any. He ended up basically going, yeah, Burnley scored twice. Well done. I mean, any of us can do that, can't we? Just going around in circles. I I have a little bit of sympathy for him because of what he's got squad wise, but I'm telling you, man, he ain't the long-term solution for Manchester United. They need to go and appoint another manager. And it might be that while the issues persist with Woodward, Glazer, etc., which we've covered off a number of times, that it might not even matter who that replacement is, because something at Manchester United is not right.
Should we do some Twitter questions?
We can, sir.
We'll do a few. Some of these are not worth... There's a lot of questions here, about whether to go from Vardy to Aubameyang or Aguero, or what the best striking options are. And I just feel like we can't answer that until next week, because we don't know what's going to happen with FA Cup injuries and so on and so on.
We might be in a position now where Mane and Salah are both injured, right? And the game has changed. That's the sort of point you go, if you've got both of them and they're both injured, then you're pulling out the wild card.
I don't feel like it's... the answer is do nothing right now with Jamie Vardy. Just hold tight and figure out what's happening. I thought it was a hamstring. You said it's a glute. Now, I'd be more worried if it was a hamstring than a glute.
Definitely not hamstring.
Yeah. So then glute might just be a couple of weeks.
He might play against Villa next midweek.
So don't worry. Stop panicking at that point, right?
It's definitely a relaxed job.
Yeah.
Really, really is. With FA Cup fixtures, as you got 4 teams who are going to play twice between now and game week 25. Obviously, Villa, Leicester, and the 2 Manchester clubs.
How much is Iheanacho, just out of interest?
Oh, it's 5.9 or something.
Yeah. If Vardy's out, I'm getting Iheanacho as my next option. So I don't know.
He's 5.7.
That is cheap.
Of course it's
if he's
cheap.
going to be playing for Leicester, that is cheap.
Of course it's cheap. But is it a transfer out as soon as it's a transfer in?
No, it's only a transfer in if Vardy is out for 3 to 4 weeks.
By the way, I don't think he will be.
No.
Would be my initial reaction, bearing in mind it's not hamstring.
Okay. Let's pick some slightly more philosophical...
He just sat on her the wrong way or something, and he strained it. That's it.
Let's there's a couple of more slightly philosophical questions here.
Okay.
Early team news.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying, or FPL should make the deadline half an hour earlier or half an hour later than what it currently is. How do you feel about it? A few people...
I do, having picked up the Sky game this year, I do like that the deadline is right up until that first kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that. If you're talking about level playing field, then I can see that. People saying, I have to get up in the middle of the night to... Well, is an hour later going to make any difference? You're still getting up in the middle of the night, aren't you? Look, we know the guys that we can rely on. Rockstar, Subscribe. They're unquestionably reliable now. Where their information's coming from, I don't know. I don't care, but I know that it's accurate. There's a couple of other guys who've been mentioned to me, and I'll be keeping an eye on them. And if they prove reliable over a sustained period, I'll be giving them a shout out, and we can all go and follow them as well. My take on it is, if a resource is available to you and you can use it, you should use it. And if it's not, then I'm sorry. It's like, I don't know. People listen to us and you can make your own mind up if it's an advantage or it's not an advantage. But like, if you've just listened to what I've said about Spurs, you know more than someone who hasn't listened to this podcast. Is that an advantage? You choose whether to listen or not listen, or if you live outside the UK, you choose to get up or not get up for a deadline.
Taking early team news is a gamble. Like, relying on it, you are taking a risk. Now, you factor that risk in thinking about how reliable these people have been in the past and how accurate they are, and at the moment they are proving to be accurate. There will come a game week where they get it wrong, inevitably.
Possibly.
And at that point, if you've taken action off the back of that information, that's the risk you've taken. I think it's a risk.
That people aren't happy about it is because perhaps they haven't or have not been able to benefit from it.
Sure.
But there are other tools where you can benefit, right? If you're paying a subscription fee for Scout or Hub or whomever, then you've invested that money and you've got an advantage to more tools than other people. Like, it's all the same. I don't see the problem with it. What's the difference between Ben Dinnery, tweeting all the time with information and injury news? If you don't follow Ben Dinnery, you're at a serious disadvantage.
Yeah.
So it's just not a big deal. I do understand if the deadline was right up until kickoff, it probably would make a little bit more sense. But the game is what it is. I don't get hung up about things like this.
No.
That they're giving the information now. In 2-3 weeks, The guys might not be able to give that information anymore for whatever reason. In the same way, when we was all relying on Anfield Express, wasn't it, 18 months ago? And they were blinding. No one seemed to be complaining about the confirmation of if Mane, Salah or Firmino or whomever was playing. It was just like, okay, yeah, that's great. Much. We'll take that. And when it stopped, it was like, sorry to hear that, guys, but thanks for your time. We will appreciate it. Yeah. And that's it. And this might happen with these guys as well.
FPL Chips. Have you guys ever thought of making a Planet FPL Cup with a prize or maybe a mention on the podcast? Nah.
I have thought about it.
It's just work.
The problem is
more work than we have time to do.
So I was looking through the Who Got the Assist Zombie League the other day because I just wanted to have a glance at teams who were doing well and what sort of players they had and that. And 3 of the top 10, they've cheated. And I've highlighted them to Tom when he'll kick them out when he's back from his holidays.
They've made transfers.
Yeah. Clear and blatant ones.
Yeah.
I just keep an eye on that. So someone said to me, the differential team we do. Oh, you set up a differential team. I ain't got the time to be managing that.
No.
To check if people have definitely got players owned under by 20% and stuff haven't got the time. In terms of a cup, yeah, great, but then it's all got to get excelled and edited. The guys who set up their own, there's plenty of good tournaments and that in the community. The Wolfpack guys keep setting stuff up that you can get involved with. So, no. Unfortunately, I'll probably do one next year now.
A couple more questions. Pookie, 1 week punt against Newcastle.
I think Norwich will beat Newcastle.
So that's an answer to your question. That's coming in from Gene True. I hope I pronounced your name. Just another Gene on Twitter. Sizzlers at FPL SMR. Do double game weeks always glitter without gold? No, there have been some. But I think we do overemphasize quite often on this part of the season.
Yeah, but it's the possibilities, right?
Yeah.
It's I don't know. The nature of a football fan is always to dream of what could be, and your possibilities are doubled in double game weeks, etc. So, but the average is 25 points, right? Let me tell you, if for example, Mane, particularly, I think. If he gets 3 goals, for example, in the next week, then what's that going to be? An extra 60 points to people. The average suddenly is going to be 70 odd or something, isn't it? So
it's going to make a big difference. FPL Geek at FPL Geek Sweden. Perez, is he an option?
Yeah.
Jose Perez. The problem with Leicester attacking assets is the same problem that you have with Manchester City attacking assets. He picked up 2 yesterday, 1 bit from the penalty spot. They could win, Maddison, 5 goals in the last 2 games, no returns. Same could happen for Perez. Leicester could score 5 in the next 2, no returns. It's like owning a Mahrez or a Sterling or whatever. City could go and bang in 5 and get no return. So I think with your Leicester asset, so much the same way with your City asset, pick one and stick with it rather than chopping and changing all the time. But he is a much better asset now than he was at the start of the season, Jose Perez. He played well yesterday, decent.
To repeat, other than probably pre-game week 32, when we'll probably get all the doubles lined up for 34, if there's doubles, and certainly doubles in 37, then this week is going to be better for information in terms of fixtures than any other, because it's not just how we can start mapping if there's availability for 31. We can then, from the 5th round draw, have a look at who's likely to. You can start making serious estimated opinions on blanks, is that likely to be a blank or not in 31. We'll certainly know what's on or off in 28, or at least what's scheduled to be off, because remember, particularly in the case of Norwich and Leicester, it could be postponed and yet still stay in the same game week, be played sort of the Wednesday after the League Cup final. So plenty to be learned. This really, really, really feels like a week to just go, all right, I'm gonna wait till after them Carabao Cup semi-finals and see where I'm at.
Which will be next week. So we're talking days now away. Do we have anything else that we need to talk to people about?
No.
Manchester?
No.
Live show?
Tickets are live.
Tickets are live on Eventbrite. Just go to Eventbrite and search Planet FPL Live 3. Find James on Twitter at Planet FPL Pod and find the link. Google Planet FPL Live 3 and you'll see it. 22nd of February, Shack Bar and Grill. Until the 31st of January, which is the end of next week, there are early bird tickets at £7.50.
Boom.
After that, they go up to £9 a pop. So get them ordered before the end of the month when they're £7.50. If you're coming in a group and you're buying 3 or more, then they are £7.50 regardless. So if you've got all your mates together, one of you figure it out and get the tickets for everybody. You can pick them up at £7.50. Chelsea Spurs, reminder, is the 12:30 game that day. If you do come early, do not speak to James. He'll be engrossed in the game. Feel free to buy him a drink, but do not speak to him.
No, don't even buy me a drink.
And then we've got a live show during the first half of the matches where we'll be reacting to all the games and what have you. Maybe get a couple of special guests on, which we're just working on. In the second half of the 3 o'clock games, the ultimate FPL quiz will try and get you into teams of six or seven, and we'll be giving away a cash prize for that. So that'll be quite a bit of fun. Someone's got to write some questions for that, James.
Listen, it's very, very clear that the quiz would be done by some of the quizzes you've done. This will all
Tough.
be on me.
Yeah. All right, you do the quiz.
I'll do the quiz.
And then we'll be watching Leicester City versus Manchester City based on current form. It's going to be a great game. And then we'll drink for about 8 hours until Tyson Fury fights Deontay Wilder at 4 a.m. I don't know how we're going to manage to get through this. Jump on Eventbrite. Have a look at Planet FPL Live 3. We really, really want to get as many people there as we possibly can. And hopefully tickets are not too expensive. We just need to cover travel, equipment, hotels, speakers.
Yeah, as
a lot of stuff to sort out. For this
isn't a money maker.
Anything that's left will get drunk behind the bar. So do see if you can make it down to Manchester for Planet FPL Live 3. Literally, today's the 22nd. Today's the 23rd.
I don't know. Friday the 24th.
Today's the 23rd. It's a month away. So there we go. Thank you for tuning in, listening, watching, all of that stuff to the main pod. We have Clash of the Correspondents. That's yesterday. Get my days right. Next week, what's happening, James?
Next week, People's Poll, Monday morning, probably something non-FPL related. Monday night.
FA Cup related, maybe.
Maybe. But we're going to cover quite a bit of that off. I don't know when the FA Cup 5th round draw is, but I believe it's probably Monday night before Bournemouth and Arsenal.
Yes.
So
normally they do it on the One show.
We will be on YouTube live during Bournemouth and Arsenal as our live stream for the month on Monday night.
Yeah.
And this will very much be more either Planet FPL kind of podcast set up while we watch the game in terms of looking at the weekend action. And very importantly, obviously, instant reaction to that FA Cup draw where we can begin to start really looking at blanks, doubles, getting into the detail. Tuesday, Tottenham. Hopefully, we're both still in the cup, mate. You've got West Brom. I'll be at St Mary's on Saturday. If there's any Saints fans out there and want to hit me up for a drink about 12:30, slide into my DMs. I'm sure my dad probably won't mind.
Nice.
Wednesday, Sky, really important one, looking towards the final weekend before overhaul. We'll start looking at fixture map out and certain players we should be considering. Thursday's Clash of the Correspondents, FPL Footballer, FPL Badger, Newcastle versus Norwich ahead of Game Week 25. And we'll be back next Friday with final plan for Game Week 25.
Sounds like a busy week.
As usual.
Indeed. Good luck with your Liverpool assets in the next couple of fixtures. I mean, hopefully they've done well for you last night by the time you're listening to this. I guarantee you they're going to do well for you next week against West Ham. And I hope your triple captainships, if you've played them, all come out nice and crispy.
No, I don't. I hope it's just those who've gone for Mane.
Ciao for now.
Cue music, man, show. Good luck, everyone. Planet FPL free live tickets in my bio.
The Fantasy Football Show.